Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Dr. Aizul Khalili bin Zuhaidi atas bacaan doa sebentar tadi. Harap rakan-rakan telah bersedia. Tanpa melengahkan masa, dijemput Wakil Unit Bahasa Inggeris Puan Nozila binti Mat Nayan bagi memulakan sesi perkongsian kita pada pagi ini. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Saya ucapkan kepada semua para pembentang Bengkel, TOT, PDP atas Talian. Saya Nozila binti Mat Nayan daripada Unit Bahasa Inggeris dan bersama saya Puan Azwati binti Ali dan Puan Julia binti Ahmad akan sama-sama berkongsi pengalaman kami menggunakan 5E Instructional Model untuk PDPC atas Talian, Unit Bahasa Inggeris berfokuskan kepada subjek kepada skill speaking. Jadi saya mulakan ya. Seperti mana yang kita maklum, pelaksanaan PDPC atas talian adalah salah satu adalah disebabkan pandemik. Jadi izinkan saya menggunakan bahasa Inggeris ya. There is one line that somehow or rather affect me most, which is no one can learn, let alone test well if they are unsupervised, hungry, anxious, or highly stressed. And those are the things very much related to our students. And we as educators, we have to adopt this new kind of methodology and environment for the sake of helping them. And what we did was, we used Flipgrid as our hub to compile useful videos, at the same time using some Google educational apps and integrate them with 5E's instructional model for this lesson. And for this lesson, we have chosen one particular class and to actually sharpen their speaking skill, which is very much related to organizing thoughts in a meaningful and logical sequence, practice using language fluently and confidently with few pauses. Kalau tak faham, tak apa. When we speak, actually, we want people to understand us. We speak to be understood. We speak for clarity. And that's what we do for this lesson. We actually use Flipgrid integrated with 5E's element and some graphic organizer. So the 5 elements are to engage, to explain, and to explore, to explain, extend, and elaborate. And finally, the last part is to evaluate. We start with the first phase, which is going to be engaged. For this particular part, just the same like any, set induction, we connect and motivate students. So we are going to relate to the teacher part and the students part. And for this connection, as we know, the students are not with us. So the connection, the motivating part is done via Google Meet. And most of students are there. And then we use these Flipgrid videos and YouTube videos and ask them, especially the teacher, ask the students to actually share their opinion on these 2 videos. So the connecting and the motivating are actually done from the teacher part and the student part in Google Meet. And then for the students, we activate their prior knowledge to somehow connect to the concept that we want them to do. The second, these are the actually samples of student work. Okay, the first graphic is actually how Google Meeting is done. The second one, the YouTube videos. And the third one is actually the samples of my students' videos that has been recorded in August actually. So we are using Flipgrid as platform for us together to compile useful videos from the student. And the last part is actually the Oreo graphic organizer. Kenapa Oreo? Because maybe sebab suka makan, but Oreo is actually good to help students to develop their ideas. Okay, kita sambung the second stage, which is to explore. For this part, we are going to encourage the students to actually investigate, to collaborate through actual experiences. The tools that we use are actually Google Meet, Google Slide, and again Flipgrid and Oreo Graphic Organizer. What is the meaning of Oreo Graphic Organizer? O stand for opinion. You state something with your opinion. R, you give reason. E, you elaborate, you give example, you give context, and the final one, O, is actually to restate your statement. That's what we do for this. And then the lecturer, what we do is we use Flipgrid to actually show another two good videos for students to analyze the speaker's clarity of ideas and organization. What the students should do is they are supposed to share the analysis they have done towards this speaker so that they know what is expected as they speak. This is meant very much useful if they were to sit for MUET speaking task A and also WE013 for metric level. So I'm going to share the finding or the samples of what the students' work that we have done for this. Okay. We will share the samples later. Now, we move on to explore. These are the samples from our student using Graphic Organizer, and they are sent via WhatsApp, via Google Classroom. And the two videos there are some of the videos from my students before this in Flipgrid, which were recorded in August. Okay, this is the third part. The third part or the third phase is actually to explain. This is where teacher play a role in providing instruction and scaffolding. What do I mean by instruction? Teacher instruct, teacher bagi arahan. So this is where teacher put their part in guiding the students' discussion using Oreo. And then scaffolding. We are using Oreo as scaffolding particular technique to somehow help students to prepare their point accordingly so that somehow or other when they sit for speaking task A or task B, they can use this and perform better. So I'm going to share some of the samples of what we did on how we go about doing this. For example, the Oreo Graphic Organizer is sent via Google Classroom, is shared via Google Classroom, and it is marked and then returned to the students. If the student have problem they could not access, so I will mark or I will respond to them using WhatsApp. So somehow or other we are trying our best to help them, to give them justice, even though if they cannot go online and whatnot, we understand their plight actually. Okay, let's move on to the fourth stage, which is what we call extend and elaborate. Kami combine extend and elaborate. What do we mean? What do actually extend and elaborate mean? Extend and elaborate then is to encourage the students to apply the technique that or the concept that we have exposed to them before. For example, for this particular stage, we want to cement or extend the concept. Cement the concept means kita nak memperkukuhkan, kita plaster, tak kisahlah whatever cara, macam mana cara sekalipun, we cement the concept in them. How do we do that? What kind of tool we do? We specifically use Flipgrid. How do we do that? The teacher instructs the students to prepare 2-minute videos in Flipgrid related to the situation that given already. So the students using the graphic organizer, what they have to do is they merely share their opinion using Flipgrid. And once they are done with that, we open the session where we allow other students to actually go in, collaborate, and respond to one another. They write comments. They are allowed also to comment via videos. So these are the samples of my students' work, our students' work, where we create a grid for them. Grid means, I believe a grid is like a community for them with the question. I put some graphic for them, some useful infographic for them so that it will help them to prepare better. And then the second graphic is actually their comments on their friend. They are allowed to comment, give constructive comment to their friend. That is where collaboration in extend and elaborate stage is done. These are two examples from my students, Imran and Kesewatini, using Flipgrid. So the last part is the evaluate session. So this is the crucial part because we need to evaluate our teaching strategies and effectiveness. As a teacher, we need to reflect not just the teaching strategies, but also the effectiveness. How do we do this? The one thing that I like about Flipgrid is Flipgrid allows us to actually grade our students, and there is a section where we can provide feedback and grade our students right there in Flipgrid itself. So that is the formative assessment done by the teacher, and then we ask the students to also check what their result, and then read the comments given by their friends. Another method, in order to somehow or rather evaluate, kita tak shock sendiri buat benda ni, we design this exit ticket. What is exit ticket? Exit ticket, I learned this exit ticket from Kathleen Tucker. She shared this exit ticket in a way to assess our teaching strategies and effectiveness. There are some questions from this Google form which allows the students to answer questions pertaining whether they are ready, they are confident to use this technique, or actually they have something to share individually, something that you don't want people to know. Somehow or other will also allow me to know whether my technique is suitable for them or should I revise later. So, ini adalah bukti contoh bagaimana kami menggunakan Flipgrid untuk feedback, menilai efektifnya penggunaan graphic organizer dan Flipgrid. The first picture is actually how feedback is done with the grading and whatnot, and then the comments from the friends are going to be the second graphic. The third and fourth, actually the digital exit ticket, and this is something new for me because I think to go with remote learning, one thing for sure, we need feedback from students because we don't see them. How can we improve if we don't know whether they are okay or not with that? Sometimes we can be all out with the high-end technologies and whatnot, but we forget the fact that they are suffering. So somehow or other, I think maybe even college matrikulasi Perak, even we in matriculation can apply this and get to know this more. So I end my presentation. I think that is the last. I end the presentation is by saying this: the difference between successful person and others is not lack of strength, but not lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. What I am trying to say is we can do this. We focus on the will. We are in the same storm, but we are actually not in the same boat. Some people are suffering, not just us, maybe our students as well. So we need to show them that we can do this. We have the will. We show them. We want them to succeed. Sorry. So that is all. Thank you very, very much.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Puan Nozila atas perkongsian itu tadi. So sekarang kita akan masuk ke slot yang kedua. Sebelum kita sambung slot yang kedua, mohon rakan-rakan setia bersama kami dan kita akan berehat seketika dan kita akan kembali selepas ini.